Have you ever considered if someone close to you might be controlling your choices without you even realizing it? Manipulation is not always obvious. In fact, the more subtle it is, the more dangerous it becomes. In this video, I'm going to show you 9 signs that someone might be secretly trying to control you. Stay with me until the end, because the last sign is so subtle that it might be happening right in front of your eyes without you noticing. Let's go. Excessive guilt. Have you ever been blamed for something you didn't even do or felt as though you were responsible for all the problems in a relationship? This is a classic tactic used by emotional manipulators. They are masters at twisting your emotions to make you feel at fault, even when you are absolutely right. Phrases like, "After everything I've done for you, is this how you treat me?" Or, "You never think about my feelings," are strategically used to place the burden of guilt on you. The intention behind these words is clear: to transfer responsibility for their feelings onto you. It's a way of making you believe that you are always in the wrong, or that your actions are never enough. Once you accept this guilt, it becomes easier for the manipulator to shape your decisions and get you to act according to their will. This guilt tactic often arises during disagreements, or when you try to set boundaries. If you find yourself always apologizing or feeling responsible for problems you didn't cause, it's a sign you're being emotionally manipulated. To deal with this manipulation, you need to establish boundaries and refuse to accept blame that is unfair or unwarranted. Remember, guilt is being used to control your actions and emotions. Reflect on how this is impacting your life and take steps to protect yourself emotionally. And if necessary, distance yourself from people who consistently display this behavior. Only then will you be able to preserve your mental and emotional integrity. When you realize that guilt is being used as a tool for control, respond calmly but firmly. "I understand your feelings, but that doesn't mean this is my responsibility." This stance not only disrupts the manipulation cycle, but also reinforces your self-confidence. Healthy relationships are built on mutual understanding and respect, not on emotional control tactics. Have you ever felt guilty of something you didn't do and were so confused that you ended up apologizing? Share your experiences in the comments. Isolation. Watch out. One of the first steps someone takes to control another person is to isolate them from people who could provide emotional support, advice, or an external perspective. This creates an environment where the controller becomes the only influential voice in your life, further increasing their power over your decisions. This behavior often starts subtly, with criticism directed at your friends or family. Comments like, "I don't think that person likes you as much as they seem to," or "Your family doesn't really understand what's best for you." The intention is to plant doubts about the motives of these people, weakening your connections with them. This often escalates into more direct attempts, such as discouraging you from spending time with others, or creating conflicts that make it harder for you to maintain those relationships. Isolation is not always imposed in an obvious way. It is often disguised as concern or care, used to justify separating you from important connections. The problem is that by restricting your access to these relationships, the controller is actually removing the support networks that could help you recognize the abuse. To identify this sign, pay attention to whether this person subtly tries to influence your choices, constantly questions your friendships, or points out flaws in those close to you. If you notice that you are becoming increasingly isolated or have less freedom to interact with loved ones, this is a major red flag. Remember, healthy relationships encourage independence and the strengthening of bonds with others, not the opposite. The best way to deal with this situation is to remain aware of who truly adds value to your life. Don't let unfounded criticism weaken your strongest relationships. Set clear boundaries and take a firm stance, making it clear that your relationships with others are non-negotiable. If the isolation behavior persists, consider the impact it is having on your freedom and well-being. Maintaining your support network is essential to preserve your emotional autonomy and avoid falling into cycles of manipulative control. No one should have the power to decide who can or cannot be part of your life. Constant monitoring. Emotional controllers have a compulsive need to know every detail of your life. They want to be certain of where you are, who you're with, and even what you're thinking. This behavior often begins subtly, with seemingly harmless questions like, Who were you talking to? Or, will it take you long to come back? But over time, these interactions escalate into something more invasive, with constant demands for information and even monitoring of your daily activities. This type of control isn't limited to direct questions. It can also be disguised as concern, with statements like, "I just want to make sure you're okay," or "I'm looking out for you." However, the true goal is to gain total control over your movements, restricting your freedom and reinforcing emotional dependence. This behavior often manifests as constant checks on your phone, requests to share your location, or even questioning your messages and calls. If you feel that your privacy is being invaded, or that you constantly have to justify your actions, this is a strong sign of control. This feeling of always being watched can lead to anxiety, as the controller creates an environment where you feel obligated to explain everything, even the simplest decisions. Over time, you may start altering your behavior to avoid conflicts or questions, which is a clear sign of manipulation. To identify this pattern, pay attention. If the person insists on knowing unnecessary details or reacts negatively when you don't provide full information, this is a serious red flag of constant monitoring. Although dealing with this type of control can be challenging, the best approach is to set firm boundaries regarding your privacy. Make it clear that it's not necessary to justify all your actions and that trust is essential in any relationship. If the behavior persists, it's important to evaluate the impact it's having on your life. Respecting your own privacy is a fundamental step in protecting your autonomy and avoiding cycles of control. No one has the right to invade your space or control your life. Destructive criticism. Do you feel constantly criticized by certain people? Perhaps these criticisms come disguised as sincerity or concern, but they leave you with a lingering sense of inadequacy and inferiority. Emotional manipulators are highly skilled at using criticism as a tactic to lower your self-esteem and increase your emotional dependence on them. These destructive criticisms have a clear purpose: to make you feel small, inadequate, and constantly incapable. Manipulators hide behind the guise of sincerity to avoid direct confrontation, while gradually weakening your emotional security. These criticisms are not limited to a single aspect of your life. They can target your appearance, your decisions, your work, or even your personal relationships. Over time, these repeated comments erode your self-esteem, making you more vulnerable to other forms of control. This creates a cycle where you begin to doubt your abilities, choices, and even your worth as a person. If you frequently leave interactions with this person feeling inferior, frustrated, or incapable, it is a clear sign that destructive criticism is being used to manipulate you. This behavior is not an occasional mistake, but a calculated tactic to undermine your emotional independence. To deal with this type of manipulation, it is essential to recognize that these criticisms do not reflect reality, but rather the manipulator's attempt to control your emotions. Rebuild your self-esteem by surrounding yourself with people who value and respect you. The support of trusted friends and family can be vital in helping you regain confidence. Do not accept criticisms that are solely meant to diminish who you are. And if necessary, distance yourself from people who consistently try to undermine your self-confidence. Preserving your self-esteem is crucial for maintaining your mental health and emotional well-being. Financial control. Have you ever felt that someone is trying to control your financial decisions or constantly questions how you spend your money? Financial control is one of the most effective and dangerous forms of manipulation because it directly affects your autonomy and freedom. Whether explicitly, by restricting access to money, or subtly, through frequent criticisms of your spending, this tactic is designed to limit your choices and make you emotionally and financially dependent. In cases of direct financial control, the manipulator often takes on the role of being responsible for the finances, making it difficult or even impossible for you to access money. This is often disguised as organization or concern for your well-being. But the real goal is to create dependence, where you need permission even for basic needs. In more subtle situations, the emotional controller may make recurring comments about how you should spend your money. This creates an environment where you start doubting your own ability to make financial decisions, constantly seeking validation for your choices. This approach undermines your confidence and places the manipulator in a position of authority, further reinforcing the imbalance in the relationship. Over time, this manipulation can lead to total economic dependence. The person being controlled may feel they lack the resources to leave the relationship, or fear that any attempt to regain financial independence will result in conflict or retaliation. This type of control not only undermines your financial freedom, but also subjugates your decisions, keeping you in a state of constant submission. The first step to breaking this cycle of manipulation is to regain your autonomy by setting clear boundaries. If you recognize that dependence has already become a problem, consider strategies to create a financial safety net that provides greater security and flexibility. This might include seeking professional help or the support of trusted individuals to develop a financial plan that restores your independence. Remember, your financial freedom is essential to preserving your emotional independence. Taking back control of how you manage your resources is a powerful step toward securing your autonomy and well-being. Be cautious of anyone trying to dictate your financial choices. This behavior is a clear sign of control and manipulation. Psychological manipulation. Have you ever found yourself doubting your own memories even when you were certain about what happened? This is the result of a technique known as psychological manipulation, also called gaslighting. This strategy is widely used by manipulators to distort your perception of reality, confuse you, and ultimately weaken your confidence in yourself. Manipulation often manifests through phrases like, "You're overreacting," "That never happened," or "You misunderstood." The manipulator uses these tactics to discredit your emotions, downplay your concerns, and make you believe you're imagining things. The goal is simple: to create doubt in your mind so you depend on the manipulator to define what is real and what is not. Psychological manipulation can have profound effects on your self-esteem and emotional stability. You start questioning yourself constantly, feeling insecure about your memories and interpretations. This gives the manipulator a significant advantage, as they assume complete control, making it harder for you to challenge their toxic behavior or set boundaries. The impact of this manipulation extends beyond the present moment. It creates a cycle where the manipulator justifies their abusive actions while placing the blame on you. They disqualify your emotions, reinforcing the idea that you cannot trust your own judgment. Pay close attention. If you often leave conversations feeling confused, insecure, or guilty about things you shouldn't, this is a clear sign of psychological manipulation. Another important clue is repetition. Manipulators don't use this technique just once. They repeat the behavior until it becomes ingrained in the relationship dynamic. To deal with this situation, it is crucial to regain control of your perception of reality. Trust your memories and emotions. Psychological manipulation is a form of control that affects your mind and how you see yourself. Protect your mental health, trust in yourself, and never allow someone to distort your reality to take control of your life. Unfulfilled promises. Promises are often used as a powerful tool to control emotions and keep you trapped in a cycle of expectation and disappointment. These promises may seem sincere, but they are rarely fulfilled. They are made with a simple purpose: to gain your trust and prolong your hope while reinforcing emotional dependence. This pattern can be observed in situations like, "I'll change, just give me some time," or "Next time, I'll do better." Promises like these keep you emotionally invested, while the manipulator endlessly delays taking any concrete action. This tactic creates a constant state of waiting, where you are stuck expecting things to improve, but reality never aligns with those promises. Over time, unfulfilled promises begin to erode your confidence. You may even start doubting your own perception and questioning if you're being too impatient or demanding. This emotional cycle is carefully designed to keep you in the relationship and willing to accept excuses for the broken promises. If empty promises become a constant, it is a clear sign of emotional control. This type of person uses this technique to create an environment where you feel like you're always on the verge of a solution or change, but it never actually arrives. It's like chasing something that's always just out of reach. To recognize this behavior, pay attention to the promises made and whether there are concrete actions to back them up. If the person consistently offers words without follow-through, it's a clear sign of manipulation. Recognizing that empty promises are a tool of manipulation is critical to regaining control of your emotional autonomy. Remember, trust in actions and facts, not just in words. Disguise protection. Do you feel cared for, or do you feel suffocated? Controllers often hide their true intentions under the guise of protection. They claim to be looking out for you, but in reality, they use this supposed concern to limit your choices and restrict your freedom, all while placing their opinion above yours. This behavior often manifests in phrases like, "I'm just doing this for your own good," or "I'm protecting you." Although these words may seem like acts of care, they are usually accompanied by actions that undermine your autonomy. The controller begins to insist that you avoid certain people, pass on opportunities, or change your plans, always justifying it with claims that it's for the best. Over time, this disguised protection becomes suffocating. You may find that your decisions require constant approval, or that your opinions are ignored or dismissed entirely. This not only weakens your confidence, but also creates a cycle of emotional dependence, where the controller positions themselves as the only person capable of deciding what is right or wrong for you. Identifying this pattern requires careful observation. Do these acts of care genuinely prioritize your well-being, or are they tools of control? If you notice that every attempt to make a decision is met with resistance disguised as concern, this is a strong sign of manipulation. The best way to deal with this situation is to reaffirm your autonomy. Acknowledge the other person's concern, but make it clear that your decisions reflect what you believe is best for yourself. Be firm in your words and set boundaries. This will help you regain control over your choices. Remember, true care empowers you. It doesn't limit your ability to make your own decisions. Manipulation through fear. We've reached the last and most important sign: subtle manipulation through fear. This is one of the oldest and most effective tools used by manipulators to control behavior. Fear acts directly on emotions, feeding insecurities that force you to yield to another person's will. When someone consistently uses threats, either direct or indirect, of negative consequences to influence your decisions, it's a clear sign of severe manipulation. These threats can take the form of emotional tactics, such as statements that create a strong sense of guilt and fear of abandonment, pressuring you to stay in harmful situations. However, fear-based manipulation can also be practical, with phrases like, "You'll never make it on your own." The manipulator uses these tactics to create an environment where any choice that goes against their wishes feels like it will result in devastating consequences. Over time, this type of manipulation can erode your confidence, making your decisions driven by a constant fear of punishment or loss. Recognizing manipulation through fear requires deep reflection. Ask yourself, are my choices aligned with what I truly want? If you find yourself repeatedly adjusting your behavior out of fear of the other person's reactions, this is a clear sign that fear is being used as a tool for control. To handle this situation, it's crucial to understand that these fear-based tactics are often exaggerated or unfounded. Strengthen your confidence in yourself and seek emotional support from trusted individuals who can help you regain your autonomy. Seeing the manipulator for what they truly are, someone using fear to wield power, is the first step to breaking this cycle. Setting firm boundaries is essential. This stance shows that you will not be intimidated and reduces the power the manipulator has over you. Remember, identifying manipulation through fear and confronting it is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim your freedom. Your mental peace is non-negotiable, and no one has the right to control you through fear, threats, or intimidation. Now that you know the 9 signs that someone might be trying to control you, you can see how manipulation can be subtle but profoundly impactful. These signs, from excessive guilt to manipulation through fear, are calculated tactics designed to weaken your autonomy, erode your confidence, and keep you trapped in a cycle of emotional dependence. But here's an important truth. You have the power to identify and break free from this cycle. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step toward taking back control of your life. By setting boundaries, reaffirming your autonomy, and seeking support from people who genuinely care about you, it's possible to break free from the influence of manipulators and preserve your emotional freedom. Remember, healthy relationships are not built on control, fear, or guilt, but on respect, trust, and mutual freedom. If you notice any of these signs in your relationships, take action to protect yourself. Your peace of mind, your freedom, and your self-esteem are invaluable. Now I'd love to hear from you. Which of these signs stood out to you the most? Have you ever experienced any of these situations? Share your experience in the comments as it might help others who are going through something similar. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more content like this. And share this video with someone who might need this information. Thank you for watching all the way through. See you in the next video.